I think we'll get started now. People are still joining, but I'll start with a quick introduction. So hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today. It's all about simplifying the path to GPSR compliance and meeting the new EU requirements with us. This is the second of 3 webinars in our GPSR Compliance 101 series. And if you haven't already checked out our first webinar, we went into what the GPR is and what you're responsible for doing to be compliant as an online seller. We'll share that recording again in our follow-up after the event today. My name's Bronwyn. I work in product marketing at Webinterpret. And Webinterpret's goal is to accelerate international sales for online sellers, which also means that in response to the GPSR, we've launched an automated compliance solution to ensure you can keep selling to the EU hassle-free. And we're thrilled to be joined by Noemi Collin today, who is our Senior Product Manager for our compliance and advertising solutions and drives marketplace success for our Webinterpret users. So welcome, Noemi. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. So I'm Noemi, and as Bronwyn was saying, I'm product manager for our compliance product. I've been working for Webinterpret for 10 years now, and I have experience with our localization and advertising product as well. But today, I'm excited to be your guide through this important topic of the GPSR and sharing more information about our compliance product. So today, I will walk you through why we decided to automate GPSR compliance and how our compliance solution works, and finally, how to get started with it.
Amazing. And another just housekeeping thing, if you joined us last time, you'll already know this, but please use the Q&A feature in Zoom down below to send us your questions, which we'll be answering live at the end of the call. Anything we don't have time to answer live, we'll collect it and answer in our follow-up that we'll send after the webinar. Cool. So we wanted to make things a little more interactive this time and hear directly from our audience today. So if you want to let us know, no pressure, but where you're joining from and which selling channels you're using the most for selling online. Let us know. There should be a poll pop up on your screen, or you can also write in the main chat.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I will start going to explain you why Webinterpret decided to automate GPSR compliance. So our company decided to focus on GPSR regulation for a simple but critical reason. Compliance is key to doing business in Europe. Without meeting these standards, even the most innovative or desirable product risks being rejected or pulled from the market. So we recognize that company needs clear guidance to navigate this changing regulatory landscape. By understanding GPSR inside and out, we aim to help businesses like yours streamline the process, reduce the risk, and continue to expand their reach across the European market. So all the products sold in Europe must be safe for buyers. This might seem obvious, but it goes beyond just avoiding hazardous materials. GPSR outlines specific safety expectations that vary depending on the product category. Testing, certifications, and appropriate design are all part of ensuring your product meets these criteria. The second point, all products sold in Europe must have an EU Responsible Person. This is a selected individual or entity based within Europe that takes responsibility for ensuring the product meets all GPSR requirements. So this person will act as a point of contact for authorities if questions or issues arise. And the last point, which is also really important, is that all the products sold in Europe must have a GPSR compliant label and the required accompanying documentation. Clear labeling is essential, including safety warnings, usage instruction, and manufacturer details. Additionally, supporting documents like technical files, risk assessments must be prepared and available upon request by authorities. In terms of the market needs, it's also worth mentioning that it's not only a regulatory requirement, it's something that is also already in place. I mean here that marketplaces have started to block listing from merchants who do not comply with GPSR regulation. And also there's a potential risk that the United Kingdom will implement a similar regulation to GPSR. So when starting to build the GPSR compliance product, we have also considered the main challenges that you will face, and these are the main ones that we identified as of now. So I would like kindly to have your input here and propose that you participate in another poll, which will be what are the biggest challenges that impact your ability to comply with GPSR today? So as for the first poll, feel free to answer directly in the poll or in the chat as you prefer. And as Brennan said, no pressure, is just if you would like to participate. Okay. In the meantime, I just wanted to remind you of the complexity that you can face with this GPSR regulation. So for sure, I'm not going into details because as Brennan said, we already did the first webinar with Cyril, who was explaining GPSR and what it means for your online stores, which we highly recommend you to view. So it's available on our YouTube channel, and we will also share with you the link at the end of this webinar. Here, I just wanted to remind you of the key elements that we tackled when starting to build our product in order to make sure that we are supporting your business as much as possible and ensure all your products are meeting these requirements.
Great. So before we get into our compliance solution, we wanted to know if you're already using a tool to manage GPSR compliance, or are you manually making changes yourself on your listings? Yeah, feel free to fill out the poll or let us know in the chat.
Okay, so now we are going to the interesting part of showing how we remove the complexities of compliance requirements. So we address it by automating these key elements that I will quickly enumerate, and I will go into details of each of them. So don't worry, you will have a nice overall understanding of the solution that we are offering today for GPSR. The first important element is adding GPSR information to your listing. So as you know, online marketplaces will require listing to include key safety, manufacturing, EU responsible, and also compliance information. So this is really key for starting to add any information related to GPSR. Of course, as I mentioned before as well, appointing an EU responsible person is essential, which can be the manufacturer, importer, or an EU entity who must ensure GPSR compliance and manage corrective actions if needed. The last 2 points, which are to provide correct documentation, so technical documentation that prove EU safety compliance or CE marked products, and ensuring label compliance. So labels must display the manufacturer, the product description, the safety disclosures, and of course, the EU responsible person details translated into different languages depending on the markets. So achieving GPSR compliance can feel overwhelming, as you can see, but Webinterpret offers a comprehensive solution designed to simplify the process from start to finish. And here is how we are doing it with the key benefits and the different features that we have. So the first really important key benefit that we are providing is an effortless solution. Webinterpret leverages advanced data gathering tools to automatically identify and compile the necessary GPSR data for your products. Rather than manually sorting through complex details, Webinterpret suggests the required information for each listing. Once you review and approve the data, it's automatically pushed to your listing, ensuring your products are updated without any manual intervention. The second key benefit is, of course, our expertise. So Webinterpret serves as your trusted EU responsible person. We are taking care of the responsibility for ensuring your items meet GPSR safety standards. If Market Surveillance Authority raise any concerns, Webinterpret will cooperate directly with them on your behalf to resolve issues efficiently, giving you peace of mind and ensuring business continuity. And of course, the last one, which is, as I was mentioning before, it's an end-to-end process. So Webinterpret also ensures your product labeling meets GPSR requirements. Each label will include your EU Responsible Person contact details, along with a QR code that provides instant access to all required documentation, product safety details, and compliance information. This comprehensive labeling solution streamlines both customer communication and regulatory compliance. So with Webinterpret's solution, compliance becomes seamless. So you can focus on growing your business rather than worrying about the regulations. It's important to mention as well that this is a unique solution on the market today. No one else is offering it. So I hope you appreciated this overall view of our compliance product and are willing to learn more about it. So spoiler alert, we'll have another webinar with a demo of our product, but Brennan will tell you more about it at the end of this one. In the meantime, now feel free, go ahead, Brennan.
Yeah, I guess we were interested in knowing like which of these features sound like they'd be the most useful for your business needs. And any other feedback you have on the product and the service, please share it in the chat with us or in the Q&A or let us know later on. We'd love to hear it. And as Noemi mentioned, in the final webinar of this series, we'll be going into some of our new features as well.
So now I think the most important part that you are missing is how to get started. It's worth mentioning that if you are already one of our customers, you can directly access our compliance solution, log in your Webinterpret account, and go to the compliance tab. You will be able from here to onboard onto the compliance service. If you are not one of our customers already, you will need to fill out the form. We will share it with you at the end of this webinar, and then we will contact you as soon as possible. During the onboarding, we will connect to your inventory and gather all your items to process our compliance solution and suggest directly GPSR data to your products. For some of your products, we will most probably ask you additional data, information, or even documents to be able to be your EU responsible person. And then you will be able to have access to your compliance dashboard and see how many items you will need to review and validate the data. After your review, we'll automatically push all data to your listings, and you also have the possibility as well to export items validated to a CSV file. And that's it. So simple.
Yeah, we have a lot of time for Q&A, which is really great. So yeah, there's a lot of questions right now. Let me start filtering through them. I guess, Noemi, I can get started with someone is asking how they can check if an EU responsible person already exists for their products when they
So
join our compliance
yeah,
solution.
for sure. Yeah. So once you will start using our compliance solution, you will be able to see the suggested EU responsible person for each type of product. So if you are not based within the Europe, a responsible person must be designated to ensure compliance with the GPSR. So this means that it can be the manufacturer, importer, or anyone else that can be designated in entity established within the Europe. If we, depending on the category of the product, we can be your EU responsible person. So it really depends then on the type of product and the categories concerned.
Cool. And I guess I see a kind of a spin-off question of that one. Someone is saying that the managers of the products that they sell have their own EU compliance person already. So does anything need to be done in that case?
Well, they can use our product to be able to add all the information related to GPSR directly from there. So as we are suggesting data for the different items, and from there, they can also assign directly their EU responsible person that they already have. So they can do everything in this within this dashboard. And of course, they do not need us for the EU responsible person, but that's okay.
Perfect. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, we have another question. Where does Webinterpret get the GPSR data for items in general when we're automatically suggesting
Mhm.
data?
Yeah, so Webinterpret retrieves the GPSR data for your items directly from our database, which is built using a combination of publicly available data source and also some privately owned. So along with the data as well that you are submitted on eBay for your items. So it's a mix of different sources that we are combining and trying to benefit from all of them.
Cool, cool. And okay, another question. I think we already emphasized this, but just to bring it up again, how long will it take for Webinterpret to add GPSR data to listings?
Yeah, so once you connected, so we will automatically fetch your inventory. And we will, at this point, process all the GPSR data. So then you will need to review, edit, and validate depending on the information that is already available on your items and also the data that we have on our side. You will need to review these suggestions. And once you validate them, we will be able to update your domestic and international listing within 24 hours.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, another question, because we have so much time and I want to get through as many as possible. Can the Webinterpret compliance solution be used for Amazon, given that they only use Webinterpret for eBay currently?
Yeah. So today we have a good news is that it will be possible. So you will be using your our compliance solution with your eBay inventory, and as soon as you will be able to validate and validate your items with all GPSR data, you will be able to export this data and use it on your Amazon store as well. So this feature is available for you to be used.
Amazing. Um, okay, what about used items? This seems more of like a regulation question, but do we have an answer on whether the regulation applies to used items, or does it
Mm.
depend on the category?
Yeah, I'm not really expert on this one. I think Cyril will be the one be able to answer more. But yeah, it really depends on the category, in my opinion. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's confirm it with Cyril.
for sure. For the person that asked that question, again, at the end of the presentation, I'll have an email address, and if you want to reach out to us, with like just let us know what category you're selling in, then we can definitely take a look for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Someone's asking a question about shipping labels, or I guess our localized GPSR compliant labels. Can they put a label on a shipment that contains multiple items? I think it's a question of, where does the label go, and if a shipment contains multiple items, is one label enough for the full shipment, or
Well,
should we get back to them on that?
yeah, think we should get back to them. But in my opinion, if it's the same type of product, it should be enough. uh, with one label. But if it's completely different items, in this case, you will need different labels for each of them.
Okay, sounds good. Another shipping label question. Does the shipping label have to be purchased or printed through Webinterpret to ensure compliance? So this is specifically about shipping. They often use eBay's international shipping service. Um, so do they have to use, I guess, yeah, shipping through us um, in order to use our compliance service, or they can do their own shipping?
No, 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 no. It can be separated. The only
Yeah.
thing is that the label will be available directly, at least the QR code with the label will be directly available for the compliance dashboard. So it can be used separately for sure.
Cool. Okay. There are a lot more questions, so we'll definitely get through them all. Again, we've had everything recorded, so if a question wasn't answered, we'll answer them all in our follow-up email, which will also include the webinar recording, the slide deck with the links that we referred to, and also we put together a get started guide for those that are keen to start using GPSR compliance with us. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this quick 20 minutes. And thank you, Noemi, for going through our solution today.
Thank you, Ronan.
Um, if there's anything else, if you want to go to the next slide quickly, if
Sure.
there's anything else that you wanted to ask either of us, again, send us an email at hello@webinterpret.com. It'll come right to me. Just a little breadcrumb for our final webinar. If you're interested in seeing our GPSR compliance solution in action, so a live demo, our third event will demonstrate the solution and its features. We'll also preview some upcoming features and the latest compliance news, and also take hopefully more of your questions. We'll see if we can make it a little bit longer than this meeting if you guys have a lot of questions. And yeah, we'll be sharing the registration out very shortly, and we hope to see you there. So thanks, everyone.